Guys, Jayson Tatum is returning this season. It's going to happen very, very soon, and I am fired up about it. We got to talk about it on today's show. But first, if you are fired up just like me about Jayson Tatum returning to the Boston Celtics this season, do one thing for me. Go down below and hit that thumbs up icon right now. What's going on, Green Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, and folks, it's time to get ready. It's looking more and more like we're going to see the return of Jayson Tatum here in the coming weeks. Looks like it could be as soon as the first week of March. Now, there's a tweet I want to show you guys as far as what's leading us into this theory, conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. But first, this one came out from Jayson Tatum earlier today, so I had to include it in the show. 40 weeks removed from the tearing of his Achilles. I've really grown to appreciate this journey I've been on and allow for me to pat myself on the back for showing up every day. This guy has absolutely attacked the rehab process, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product of the new and reborn Jayson Tatum after this injury. But why are we saying March, early, first week of March type of deal? Well, there's slowly been some breadcrumbs that have been trickling, along the path here that have been indicating that Jayson Tatum is going to return sooner than we think. Steve Bulpett, not trying to create controversy or anything like that, just stating a fact here, saying from the league, this is a couple of days ago now, the Celtics home game versus Philadelphia on Sunday, March 1st, has been moved from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and will now be televised by NBC. This isn't week 17 of the NFL. They're not flexing games here left and right. Why would they do that? I wonder. I mean, if you guys looked at All-Star Weekend at all this past week, you would maybe think of a couple more things that indicate that Jayson Tatum is going to return around this time. And then you do a little bit more digging and you look at the ticket prices compared to the rest of the games that are available on the Celtics schedule. If you look at not only these two games, but even the Celtics-Nets game, that's one before this one on February 27th, that game is even $91 to get into. A Celtics-Nets game should never be $91 to get into. People believe that Jayson Tatum is going to return around this time frame, so ticket prices are soaring. The get-in price for this March 1st game that's been flexed on NBC and flexed at a prime time is $125 to get in. I personally believed that it was going to be a bit higher. But if you go to Friday, March 6th, the game has been a little bit more teased long-term for a Jayson Tatum return. Is this Mavericks game on Friday, March 6th? Also on ESPN, though, that get-in price is $200, a very substantial and high get-in price for a regular season Boston Celtics game. So these are outliers, and people think that Jayson Tatum is going to return around this time frame. And with all these hints kind of coming along, I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast on Sunday, and he even said, I'd been hearing first week of March for a while. My money would be on March 1st. Now for him. Guys, we are getting as close as possible. This is the best news we've gotten all season long. Like this is this little string, this little weekend that we just had after Jayson Tatum had participated in the 5v5 and brought the G Leaguers down and got on the court, like talking to the media again, getting actual updates from the Celtics PR in terms of his recovery and his updates and all that good stuff. Like, this is as good as it's ever been for Jayson Tatum's return this season, guys. We are getting ready. And there's even more. If you didn't think the tinfoil hat with me saying the NBC flex and the ticket prices soaring, if you guys think I'm a conspiracy theorist, sure. But why is NBC producing a 5-part docuseries on Jayson Tatum's rehab and his return and airing it on the network in between NBA games? If you guys watched All-Star Weekend, if you didn't, I'm sorry, because it was a really, really good showcase of basketball, man. You felt like the All-Star game was a little bit revived. But beside that point, NBC is producing a 5-part miniseries. They showed us a trailer in between the third and fourth game of the 3-team round robin of the All-Star game between the Stars, the Stripes, and the World Team. They showed a little bit of a trailer. It's called The Quiet Work of Jayson Tatum's rehab process and recovery back to the basketball court. 5 parts. It will air every Sunday on NBC. It will be in between the East and West Coast games. Now, if you guys are aware of the NBC kind of deal going on right now, If you're on the East Coast, you only get the East Coast game on NBC, and then the West Coast games on Peacock, and then vice versa, depending on where you live. But it's going to be in between those games. So I guess in between that game and whatever news comes on wherever you live in the United States. But the trailer slash episode 1, whatever that one kind of was, aired during the All-Star game. It was about 3 minutes, so it wasn't anything too long. We're still unsure about how long these other episodes are going to be, but none of that really matters. The fact that this is a little bit of a spectacle is really what we're looking at here in terms of Jayson Tatum's return. Now, here's a description of the docuseries, if you guys were curious, per Jayson Tatum's YouTube page here, saying, for the first time in his life, the game that defined Jayson Tatum was taken away by an Achilles injury. The 5-part docuseries, The Quiet Work, follows Jayson through the most challenging stretch of his career as he fights to return to the NBA. From the locker room to the hospital room, the rehab and recovery, and ultimately back to the court, this is the unseen side of his journey and the work no one ever witnesses until now. Woo! I am fired up. I am jacked up about this, man. Look, say what you will. This is Celtics Today. We're going to get fired up about Jayson Tatum and a corny, cheesy docuseries that's coming out about him recovering from this major injury. Everybody else around the NBA, screw them. I don't care what the Knicks fans say about this. I don't care if the Knicks fans are calling it corny. I'm fired up about this inside look at Jayson Tatum's recovery process leading up to him actually getting back on the court. It's literal cinema. And look, knowing what we all know now, but the flex, the docuseries, all this stuff going on, Jayson Tatum, his team, NBC, they're in cahoots. Like, Jayson Tatum is one of the most marketed stars in the NBA right now. Big time shoe deal, a lot of commercials, a lot of endorsements, always, front facing in terms of being asked questions about the league and stuff like that. Like, NBC and Jayson Tatum and his team, they're in cahoots. They're situating this. They're making it into a entertainment product at the end of the day, chronicling his journey from this injury and all the way back to him being out there on the court. It's kind of like a story. It's kind of like a narrative. And we kind of always knew at the end of the day, this was going to be a spectacle. It wasn't necessarily going to be a thing where, Tatum just returns on a random Tuesday night on League Pass. Like, it was always going to be done up. So it's one of those things where you just got to wait and see now when that eventual return game is actually going to be. Now, Adam Himmelsbach also noted from the Boston Globe that there are a couple of other dates on the Celtics schedule that are going to be broadcasted on the NBC network. So the game against the Phoenix Suns on March 16th, and we don't have to worry about the picture, don't worry about it. We will show that game will be shown on Peacock. So I'm not so sure about Jayson Tatum coming back on a streaming service. I think it's going to have to be on a nationally televised game. So that game is on March 16th. And the NBC will also show the home game against the Timberwolves on March 22nd. So basically, like, all the weekend primetime games for the Celtics here over the next month or so are going to be on NBC. So naturally, they're just kind of staggering that to make sure that whenever Jayson Tatum wants to come back, whether it's March 1st, March 6th, March 16th, or 22nd, like, one of those days will be available. They will have the Celtics game on national TV so that if Jayson Tatum returns on that day, they have themselves a spectacle and a narrative to run with there. So I'm pumped up for it. I'm excited, and it feels like we're as close as we've ever been to Jayson Tatum returning to the basketball court. It is absolutely awesome now. I got to ask you guys, before we move on today's show, what do you guys think? Will Jayson Tatum return the first week of March? Is that too early? Is it more like along the lines of the 16th and the 22nd, later into the month of March? What do you guys think? What's your take? Let me know in the comment section. Will Jayson Tatum return in the first week of March or not? Why for yes and for no? Comment down below. We got to talk more about this Jayson Tatum return to the floor in just a moment. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor on the program, and that is Prize Picks, the best sports pick app in the game, folks. I'm telling you right now, you got to get involved. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks at Prize Picks. It's super simple. All you guys got to do is pick 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. Super easy to use, great user interface, aesthetically pleasing, and it takes less than 60 seconds to create a lineup that can win you up to 2,000 times your money. The lineup that you see on the screen right now, this will win you 11 times your money. And for one specific reason, because it has a demon pick there. You see Axel Lenderberg? I'm going with the college slate tonight. So I got more than 1.5 block shots for him. A demon pick is harder to hit, but it will increase your payout. I got Braden Smith less than 27.5 points, rebounds, assists as well. In the game, I think Michigan is going to dominate defensively. And then John Blackwell. I mean, Wisconsin, the guy's an absolute dog, stat sheet stuffer, bucket getter. Give me more than 30 fantasy score for him. You can tail my picks or fade my picks. Just do it at Prize Picks and take advantage of all the features that they offer, like injury reboots, where if your player gets hurt in the first half, just take the square out completely for the rest of the lineup and just decrease your potential payout. And then early payouts as well. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you can even cash out those winnings before the games even finish. So download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, so the big question here moving forward with JT coming back into this rotation is how is he going to integrate? And look, I know it's a big question. I know it's at the top of everybody's minds. I know it's been like in the podcast circles, in the daytime mainstream sports show network channels. Like, I don't really think it's that big a deal, guys. And the reason that this is kind of being pointed to being as big of an issue as it could potentially be right now is because of, well, the Celtics are really good, and they've been having a good thing going all year, and specifically, Jaylen Brown has had a good thing going all year. Some people are kind of pointing to Jaylen Brown's ascension here, his type of MVP level season that he's going on, as maybe a hiccup or a potential source of a power struggle between Tatum and Brown, because, look, this was Jayson Tatum's team at the end of the day, like, in terms of dominating the ball, initiating the offense, like, being the guy. It was Jayson Tatum's team. Now it's Jaylen Brown's team with the injury going on, and with the way the Celtics are playing this year, everybody's fully embracing that level of Jaylen Brown basketball, including Jaylen Brown, who hasn't really done himself many favors, but like he's gone out there and certainly paraded the success of this Celtics team. Remember what he posted on Instagram and Twitter? He said, just proud of my guys. And look, he's not wrong. Like, if you look at the way that these two teams between last season and this season stacked up at the All-Star break, there were 3 games apart, and this year's Celtics team started 0-3. Like, you eliminate that, and you look very, very similar to the way that you looked in 2024, 2025. Now, the metrics are all very similar. The defense was obviously going to take a little bit hit with the loss of Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Horford, like Cornette, and Tatum, but for them to still be at the top of the league in offense, top of the league in net rating, it is very, very impressive, and Jaylen Brown deserves a lot of the credit. And Jaylen Brown's also going to let people know that he knows he deserves a lot of the credit. Here's what he said to Noah Dalzell, saying, everybody was calling it a gap year. How do you go from a gap year to top 5 in the East? That's a big jump. It's not a small jump. People want to skip over that. I'm not going to let you skip over it. That's a big deal. I'm proud of this group. And I would yell it from the top of the house. Okay. So, look, he's not doing himself any favors, but we know Jaylen Brown has wanted this for a long time. Jaylen Brown has wanted to take the reins and be the number one option and be the focal point of this team's offense. He has that opportunity now, and he's basking in the glow of it because he's been so good. None of it was meant to be dramatic. None of it was meant to be a shot at Jayson Tatum. I'm choosing to believe that. I'm choosing to believe that that Jaylen Brown is being the bigger guy and all that stuff. Because what? Do you remember what he said? Like, in the All-Star Media Week, he was like, Jayson and I have won at a high level since we've been drafted. And these people have been having these conversations about us since we've been drafted. It's not going to change. Like, we're still going to go out there and win basketball games, do what we've done our entire careers together. So none of this was meant to be a shot at Jayson Tatum. It was really just meant to be a propping up of the current Celtics group and how well they're currently doing. Not much more to read into other than that. Look, I don't expect it to be a power struggle. I seriously don't. Like, not only because I don't believe Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to, like, butt heads, or there's going to be, some sort of, relenting of power between Jaylen Brown to Tatum when he returns. I don't think Tatum cares. Jayson Tatum is as adaptable of a basketball player as it gets. He is as plug and play, drop him on any roster in the NBA as any other player that I've witnessed in the last 20 years. Maybe Steph, but you got to run a specific offense around Steph to get that thing to work at the highest level. Jayson Tatum can be asked to do anything. He could be asked to play make. He could be asked to rebound. He could be asked to guard the best wing on the other team. He could be asked to guard the best center on the other team. He could be asked to go out there and be a shooter, go out there and play off ball, go out there and initiate the offense. He could be asked to fill any role. And that's what he will be asked to do here for the Boston Celtics for the rest of the season into the playoffs. Fill in the gaps and help them clog the holes that they have on the roster right now. The stuff that's limiting them from being a top-tier contender in this league, that's where JT will come in and fill the gaps. Is he going to go out there and be a day one All-NBA first-team type of guy the second he steps on the court? I don't expect that to be the case. But down the line, as he gets his legs back under him and all that stuff and more integrated back into this team, because I don't think it's as big of a drastic offensive philosophy change. I know it's run a lot through the guards. I know it's run a lot through Jaylen Brown this season. But Jayson Tatum can adapt to any style that this team is going on. And he's been around the team the entire season. You think he's just going to be like totally shocked to see what type of offense that he jumps back into when he's back out there on the court? No. Guys, let's be for real here. He is as adaptable and as plug and play as it gets. Oh, and if you need him to score, if the wells run dry a little bit, if Jaylen Brown's short-arming a couple mid-range jumpers, then we can go get him to score. Most games points in All-Star history. Most points in a Game 7. Most points in a Celtic game in history. Most points in a playoff game in history. Guys, come on. This is Jayson Tatum we're talking about. Why are there any questions about him fitting onto a roster in Big 2026? Makes no sense to me. He's going to come back soon. I'm fired up about it. How fired up are you about it? Excitement level for Jayson Tatum's return. Comment down below. I want to know. Seriously, be honest. 1 being no excitement at all. I want to see the rest of this team currently shake things out. 100 being, I need Jayson Tatum back on the court ASAP. Comment down below your excitement level for me, as that will do it for today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. YouTube.com/CelticsTV for the latest and greatest on your C's all season long. And we're going to keep you guys posted as we get more Tatum updates. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, let's go C's.